A handsome single father falls in love with the woman of his dreams.
She was a gorgeous woman with a smile that could light up a room.
It was one of those, passionate things, a hot and heavy relationship.
But when that bond is destroyed in a hail of gunfire, police look below the surface and discover things are not what they seem.
There was a web of lies between all of these individuals.
Detectives suspected that one of them was lying, but they couldn't figure out which one.
And everyone who knew the victim is suspect in a case where deception and obsession explode with deadly consequences.
He had to know this was a house of cards that was going to come crashing down.
He was a possessive maniac. If he couldn't have her, no one would have her.
March 8th, 2010, 10 p.m. It's a crisp, quiet night in Jackson, Mississippi, when 22-year-old Justin Smith arrives at his apartment complex. As he gets out of his car, Justin sees something disturbing.
Hey, man. Hey, you all right?
At first, he thinks that the man is hurt. Perhaps he'd been beaten up. But when he rolls him over, he sees that the man is bleeding from the chest, and apparently he has been shot.
Help! I need an ambulance. My neighbor, man, he got shot.
Police and paramedics are immediately dispatched to the scene, but it's too late.
I'm not getting a pulse. He's unresponsive.
When officers arrived, they found him. He was pronounced deceased on scene.
Sir, did you find the body?
Yeah, I did. I found him leaned up against the car, and I rolled him over to see if he's all right.
Do you know him?
Yeah, he's my neighbor. His name's Barry.
Barry, all right, I'll tell you what. Step right here for me for just a minute. We may have some more questions. Just hang tight.
It was sort of unusual to find a body that just laying out there at night. And he lived in this complex.
The body was right next to a car, and there were keys on the ground nearby. So the police assumed it was the victim's car.
They run the tag and learn the car is registered to 36-year-old Barry Odom.
At that point, police are pretty sure they knew who the victim is, but they don't know who shot him and why they shot him, or even if the parking lot where he was found is the place where he was shot at.
In the coming days, those very questions will echo throughout this quiet, peaceful community. And as investigators dig for answers, a shocking tale of love, deceit, and jealousy rises to the surface.
I think it was a senseless killing because I don't think it had to happen.
Most homicides are senseless, but this one was truly on another level.
Barry Odom was born in 1973 in Jackson, Mississippi, and raised in the small rural town of Lena. His early years were a physical struggle.
Barry was ill, real ill when he was young. He had what they call a hole in his heart, a ventricular septic defect, which was discovered as a baby.
But as an infant, Barry was too weak for doctors to perform major surgery.
They couldn't close the hole when he was a baby. So I think about 4 years old, they did the major surgery on it. Never looked back.
Barry grew up the middle sibling in a tight-knit, loving family that was a focal point in the community.
I was a deacon for a lot of years, so we were regularly in church. And later on, I accepted my call in ministry.
He was exceptionally bright and enjoyed school, especially reading and writing.
He wrote a lot. And if you ever read in his poetry, you understand the heart that he had.
Barry excelled outside the classroom as well, starring in both football and basketball.
Me and him always bragged about who was the best point guard in the state of Mississippi. He always said he was the best. I'm like, you might have been the best until you ran up on me.
In 1992, Barry graduated with honors from Scott Central High School in Forest, Mississippi.
He went straight to the military after high school, joined the Army, also became one of the National Guard men here in Mississippi.
Barry thrived in the military and always went above and beyond to perform his duties.
In the military, he received a commendation for marksman for being, in his unit, one of the better shooters. Barry was real strong.
But after 4 years serving his country, Barry was ready to move on to other ventures.
His unit closed down, so then he went into the regular workforce.
Barry was a smart guy. He was very compassionate. And I think that is what motivated him to get into the medical field.
After obtaining a nursing certificate, Barry took a job as a nurse's assistant at St. Dominic Hospital.
He was the type of person that you wanted to be around because, you know, he cared about folks.
Patients was always asking for him. I remember a couple of patients, when they got discharged, they later came back. They gave him something. Someone told him for appreciation, you know.
He liked helping people. It could be because of his own personal experience being as sick as he was when he was young.
After several years of casual dating, Barry met a woman named Michelle and fell in love.
Barry had strong feelings for Michelle, and they had a daughter together.
Barry and Michelle, I think that they had a good relationship when it came to the daughter, for sure.
But as intense as their passion was in the beginning, their flame for each other eventually began to smolder.
He really wasn't ready to get married and settle down.
Like a lot of relationships that don't end up in marriage, you kind of grow apart, and that's what happened with them.
But Barry took to fatherhood with a passion, showering his daughter Amelia with an endless stream of affection.
Was he loved his daughter. He wanted the best for her, and she was crazy about her daddy, you know.
He was always talking about her. And as she got older, I could see she could spin him around her finger when she wanted to.
Everybody said he was a great father. Just a great father, you know, a doting father on his daughter.
Barry worked hard to make sure Amelia had everything she needed.
He always strived to try to have a better life. Normally worked about 2 jobs, you know. He was a nurse. I also drove for a paper company.
Barry continued to date casually, not really looking for a serious commitment.
Oh, let me help you with that.
Then in 2009, he met 35-year-old beauty Cheryl Gardner.
Thank you. So sweet.
I'm Barry.
Nice to meet you. I'm Cheryl.
Nice to meet you.
She was a very pretty girl, and Barry seemed enamored by her from the very beginning.
She just seemed to have a, you know, good personality, warm personality.
They came from similar backgrounds. Both were from Jackson and came from good families.
So you from Jackson?
Mm-hmm. You?
Yeah, me and my daughter.
Oh, you have a daughter?
Yeah.
You have any pictures of her?
Oh, yeah.
They were both single parents. They both had daughters. Barry's daughter was 11. Cheryl's daughter was only 3.
Oh, wow. Guys like a mom.
They both were very devoted parents. They really would do anything for their daughters.
Cheryl still was in touch with her daughter's father, and they often shared co-parenting duties, but Barry was understanding of that.
Barry and Cheryl's busy lives as single parents limited the amount of time they could spend with each other. So when they were able to get together, they made the most of it.
How you?
Barry and Cheryl's relationship was often intimate. On occasions, they did get hotel rooms to share intimacy.
These are beautiful.
Just like you.
Thank you.
Barry and Cheryl had a great relationship from all indication. It was one of those, you know, passionate things.
Everything was going really well between the two of them. Their relationship seemed to be going in the right direction.
But now, less than a year later, Barry's dead body lies in a pool of blood.
For the police, the possibilities are wide open, and really, there isn't all that much to go on initially.
However, a startling discovery at the crime scene will soon reveal a tangled web of deceit and jealousy and send police hurtling into a hidden and mysterious double life.
Neither one of them had any idea that the other existed.
It seemed fate was smiling on single parents Barry Odom and Cheryl Gardner when they got together in the spring of 2009.
It seemed like they was in love with each other.
Cheryl and Barry were involved in a relationship. There was an intense relationship.
But all that came crashing down on March 8, 2010, when Barry Odom was found gunned down in the parking lot of his apartment building in Jackson, Mississippi.
Hello, officer.
Detective.
What have we got so far?
One male victim. Appears to be a gunshot wound to the chest.
Any witnesses?
This gentleman back here, he's the one that called it in. Says it's his neighbor.
In order to unravel the mystery surrounding Barry's death, investigators first turned to Justin Smith, the neighbor who found Barry's body.
See anything?
No, I got here and I found him laying up against the car. I rolled him over to see if he was all right. And
So you didn't actually see the shooting?
no,
No? You see anyone else around the area? Any cars leaving?
no.
No.
But police are certain someone must have heard something.
It was an apartment complex with lots of neighbors, and it was only 10 p.m. Most people were still up.
In fact, Justin wasn't the only one who called 911 that night. Other neighbors called to report hearing gunshots in the parking lot.
Investigators fan out and canvass the entire area, looking for potential witnesses.
Could you tell me what you heard or saw?
Well, at first I thought I heard firecrackers, but then I realized it was gunshots. 3 of them, I think.
3 shots?
There were neighbors that reported hearing gunfire and shots fired, but these individuals didn't actually see anything.
Police were hard-pressed to find witnesses for the crime because many of the residents stated that they were too afraid to investigate it themselves, or they just simply did not want to get involved.
With no eyewitnesses to the crime, investigators shift their focus to clues at the scene.
All right, so what do we got here?
The victim has 2 gunshot wounds to the chest. We haven't found any shell casings around.
That either means 2 things. Either the individual that shot him picked their own shell casings up, or there was a revolver that was used.
It didn't seem likely that whoever shot Barry would linger in the area just to pick up shell casings, so it was likely a revolver.
The neighborhood where Barry lived isn't the nicest part of town, and police wonder if the shooting could simply be a random crime.
They didn't know right at that moment, what happened. It might have been somebody who was trying to rob him. It could have been a case of mistaken identity.
Those crimes certainly happened, and police had to consider that a possibility.
But a CSI does find something that casts doubt on any potential robbery motive: Barry's wallet.
His wallet was in his pocket and it still had cash and credit cards in it.
Underneath Barry's body, they also find his cell phone.
Cell phones nowadays are enormously helpful for investigators. There are calls, text messages, and photographs. They can tell you where a person have been and who they were with.
As Barry's body is removed from the scene, detectives head back to police headquarters to scour the phone for clues. But first, they have to make the call that no parent wants to receive.
Hello?
Hello, Mrs. Odom?
Yes?
My wife and I was home in bed.
Who is it?
And we received a call from Jackson Police Department.
Sorry to inform you, we have found your son deceased in his apartment building.
My wife, she went to pieces. She handed me the phone. I was overpowered and I had to get my composure back together.
Detectives ask Larry if he knows of anyone who might want his son dead, but he's dumbfounded by this senseless murder.
No one in Barry's family can suggest a suspect to the police because, as far as they knew, Barry did not have an enemy in the world.
Would the 2 of you mind coming down to the station tomorrow to answer a few questions?
Yes, sure.
While Barry's parents make the 50-mile drive from Lena, detectives are hoping Barry's phone will hold the key to finding the killer. The last call Barry made was when he dialed 911.
Apparently, Barry dialed 911, although the police recording showed he didn't actually speak to the operator, so he must have dialed the number and died before he could tell them anything.
Had he just lived a minute or 2 longer, Barry might have been able to tell police who his assailant was.
The phone shows numerous calls on the day of the murder.
Detectives learned that Barry had been in contact with several individuals.
Look at that. Looks like the last number dialed there was Cheryl.
Girlfriend?
Only one way to find out.
Detectives called the number, which belonged to Cheryl Gardner. She picks up immediately, and they identify themselves as being with the Jackson police.
I'm calling with Barry Odom's cell phone here. He was found deceased in his apartment parking lot.
What? No.
Cheryl is just completely devastated when she hears the news. She sounds like she's totally shocked.
Could you tell me what the relationship was with you and Mr. Odom?
I'm his girlfriend.
So when was the last time you talked to him?
It was around 9:30. We were supposed to meet back up later at the motel, but he never showed up.
Cheryl seems to be the last person who saw Barry alive just a half hour before gunshots were reported to police.
All right, I would like to talk to you in person. Could you come to the station tomorrow morning?
Sure.
All right. Bye-bye. Yeah, so it was his girlfriend.
Here's another number. He called her earlier.
Detectives notice other calls on the phone, including multiple that afternoon to a woman named Joyce Walker.
Let's try her out here.
Detectives call Joyce and tell her the news, and just like Cheryl, she's very upset.
Could you tell me how you knew Barry Odom?
Well, I'm his girlfriend.
His girlfriend? When's the last time you saw Barry?
This afternoon. And he was supposed to stop by later this evening.
There are two women, both claiming to be Barry's girlfriend, and both of whom saw Barry the day that he died.
But when detectives interview Barry's two girlfriends the next day, they uncover a steamy love triangle that casts a wide range of suspicion and raises even more questions about why Barry Odom was killed.
There was a web of lies between all of these individuals.
Less than 12 hours after the senseless murder of 36-year-old Barry Odom, detectives in Jackson, Mississippi have zeroed in on a potential motive.
Anytime you have a love triangle, there's potential for jealousy, and jealousy can lead people to do crazy things.
Barry wasn't married, he was a single man. There was absolutely nothing wrong or immoral with him dating multiple women. But there may be consequences or repercussions. One or both of those women might not have liked it.
Detectives have asked both Cheryl Gardner and Joyce Walker to come to the police precinct for questioning. But first, they meet with Barry's parents.
Quite naturally, we wanted to know what had happened. They told us what time to come. We were early, so we went over to his apartment first. That was really kind of disturbing because he was killed right there in front, and where he was bleeding was still there. That was real hard to take. The law kept us strong enough, and then we went over to the police station, and that's when we got what details that they told us.
I want to thank you, too, for coming to the station. I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
At that point, detectives only have vague information. Barry had seen two women earlier in the day.
Now, is there anything you can tell me about Cheryl or Joyce?
No, we don't know anything about them. We really just came in to find out about our son.
I knew he had a girlfriend. Didn't know his girlfriends, at the time. I just want to know, why was my son taken away from me?
We're doing everything we can, and we'll keep you posted.
Cheryl Gardner is the first to arrive at the precinct.
When Cheryl arrived, she still appeared to be very upset.
I want to thank you, Cheryl, for coming in. I know it may be hard, but we really want to find out who killed Barry.
I understand.
Okay. All right, so you were with him last night, correct?
Yes.
Detectives ask Cheryl to recount her entire day.
We texted each other earlier in the morning, and then I called him to see how his day was going.
They chatted for a little bit, and she told him she'd let him get back to work and would call him later in the day.
When did you talk to him next? Around what time?
Around 4:30 or 5 o'clock. I asked him if he still wanted to get a motel room, and he said he did.
Cheryl told detectives that she booked a room at a local motel. Then she called him back, and she said that there would be a key waiting for him at the front desk.
What time did you get to the hotel?
Well, I had to run errands, and I had to drop off my ex, so I got there around 8.
When Cheryl arrived, Barry was waiting for her in the parking lot.
I got us some champagne.
Okay, I see you.
Cheryl says they went to the room together and were intimate.
She said they were alone in the motel room for about an hour and a half. And at 9:30, Barry said that he needed to go out and run an errand.
Where are you going?
I had a buddy of mine borrow some gloves from work. I need to get them.
Tonight?
Yeah, I'm gonna need them for work tomorrow.
At that point, they decided to separate each other for a little while and later meet back up at the hotel.
Well, why don't you come back later? We have the room the whole night.
Okay. May take a while, so I can call you on my way back.
Okay.
All right.
Cheryl says Barry left the motel around 9:30, and then she left 10 to 15 minutes after that.
She left the hotel with the intention of them meeting back up there at some point later that night.
So where did you go?
I went home. I waited for him to call me, and he never did.
Cheryl never ended up hearing from Barry. The next thing she knew, it was after midnight, and she was getting the call from detectives regarding the shooting.
Cheryl seemed truthful, but the detectives were a little suspicious. She was with Barry a half hour before the shooting, and that hotel hookup thing or arrangement they had seems a little odd.
Detectives decide not to force the issue, at least not yet. They know they have another woman waiting out in the hallway who knew Barry Odom intimately, and what she tells them is a game changer.
So there are two women here who both think that they're the only woman in Barry's life, and at least one of them is in for a rude awakening.
Nearly 24 hours after the shooting death of 36-year-old Barry Odom, detectives in Jackson, Mississippi are trying to piece together the puzzle of Barry's personal life.
His cell phone provided a running record of who Barry was in touch with on the day he died. And it is through that the police were able to determine that he was seeing two different women, and he had actually seen both of them on the day he died.
Barry's girlfriend, Cheryl Gardner, told police she was with him at a motel that night, claiming Barry left around 9:30 p.m., just 30 minutes before he was shot.
Cheryl said that she also left the motel about 10 to 15 minutes after Barry, but she doesn't really have an airtight alibi as to where she was after that point.
Could Cheryl have followed Barry back to his apartment and been the one who shot him? That question has to be running through investigators' minds at this point.
Barry's phone can't answer that question. There are no calls or texts between the time he left the motel and the time he was killed. But detectives do notice that Barry was in touch with someone else that evening, Joyce Walker, a woman who claims she was also Barry's girlfriend. Barry's phone showed a call to Joyce Walker at approximately 7:30 that evening, just a half hour before he met Cheryl at the motel.
Detectives obviously are curious and want to know what that phone call was all about.
Joyce comes in and meets detectives, and she appears to still be very upset about Barry's death.
I know this must be tough for you.
Joyce tells them that she and Barry had been dating for a while and that things were starting to get serious between the two of them.
Joyce tells detectives that she and Barry even had plans to move in together.
Detectives were shocked to hear that because they know that Barry had been with Cheryl at a motel the night before. So now they're wondering if Joyce might be lying about the extent of the relationship, or if maybe she is misreading it.
Joyce says she had contact with Barry throughout the day, beginning with a call to him at 9:30 a.m.
I tried to call you last night, but it kept going to voicemail. Did you have your phone off?
Barry tells her he had been out with his friend named Alvin and had drank too much and must have accidentally turned off his phone.
Are you still gonna come over this afternoon?
Yeah, I get off about 2 o'clock.
Joyce tells investigators Barry arrived at her house around 2:30 that afternoon, and that they spent close to an hour searching online for potential houses.
We were looking for places to live. But I had to get ready for work, so Barry just left.
And about what time was that?
About 3:15.
Did you hear from him again?
Mm-hmm.
About what time?
He called at about 7:30, but I was at the store working, so I couldn't talk for a long time.
Joyce says she and Barry had plans to get together later that night after she got off work.
She told him that she would call him when she got off work about 11 o'clock, and if he was still up, she'd drop by.
So now detectives are wondering if that's why Barry told Cheryl he had to leave the motel to run an errand. It seems that Joyce might have been his errand.
Did you hear from him again?
No. I tried to call him a couple of times, but he never did answer. So I just went home.
There was no one who could corroborate Joyce's alibi, so she certainly had the opportunity to commit the crime. It raises a question that Joyce may have found out that Barry was indeed seeing someone else, and if jealousy could have been at play here.
Joyce, did you know that Barry was seeing other women?
No. I don't think so.
She seemed to be genuinely surprised, so detectives don't really know who to believe. At this point, it looks like Cheryl found out about Joyce, or Joyce found out about Cheryl, and one of them likely killed Barry.
The problem for police is that they don't have any concrete evidence against either one of these women.
Trying to obtain more clarity on Barry's relationships, detectives talk with several of his friends and co-workers.
Through their questioning of several of Barry's friends, they learned that Barry often confided in a co-worker named Jeff Miller, so they decided to question him.
I understand you and Barry were close. Let's say we had similar problems. Similar as into we had women problems.
Jeff said that a few months earlier, Barry had come to him and asked him what he would do if he learned that his girlfriend was seeing another man, but had promised that she had broken it off.
So they weren't.
Barry told them that at one time, he and his girlfriend Cheryl were at his apartment.
So what did you want to do?
They were just simply hanging out. When she went to leave, there was this guy just standing there and just glaring at them.
What are you doing here?
You know this dude?
It's my daughter's father.
Brent, why would you come here?
Cheryl and Barry quickly left the scene to avoid any sort of altercation.
Barry came to me and he seemed to be kind of upset about it.
At this time, Barry wasn't sure if Cheryl was still seeing this other guy or what the situation was.
Cheryl had to have contact with him based on the fact that they did share a child together.
According to Jeff, Cheryl assured Barry that her relationship with her ex was completely platonic, but Barry still had his suspicions.
So they weren't romantically involved then?
Not that I know of, but they seem to spend a lot of time together.
This man, because they had a child together, they still were talking, he was around Cheryl.
So not only was Barry dating someone besides Cheryl, she was apparently still involved with her ex-boyfriend to some degree. Investigators now believe this love quadrangle might have turned toxic, leading to Barry's death. The question is, how?
A man was possessed, over a female. He didn't want to let go.
Detectives in Jackson, Mississippi are beginning to suspect that the murder of Barry Odom may somehow be connected to the two women he was dating, one of whom was still in close contact with her ex-boyfriend.
We've all heard of love triangles, right? And we all know that there are problems when that happens. Well, you've got a situation where we have multiple love triangles going on at one time. There's a far greater possibility of jealousy.
Detectives decide to re-interview Cheryl Gardner, the woman Barry had an intimate rendezvous with less than 30 minutes before his murder.
All right, so we spoke with several people Barry knew, including a woman who claims to be Barry's girlfriend.
Detectives were watching her reactions very closely. They wanted to find out if she was genuinely surprised or she was just simply faking.
What? No, that can't be.
Cheryl is completely caught off guard by this, and detectives can tell she's genuinely surprised by the news.
Yeah, and it seems as if you've been seeing someone else as well.
No, that's not true.
No?
No.
Your ex, maybe?
But Cheryl assures police she wasn't seeing her ex-boyfriend, at least not voluntarily.
She tells them that she was not in a romantic relationship with her ex, and that he had actually been stalking her for several months.
Cheryl says her ex's name is Bryn Ellis and that she met him in 2006. While they never married, they did have a daughter together in 2007.
Bryn Ellis was 54 years old, more than 20 years older than Cheryl. And unbeknownst to Cheryl, he was living with another woman that he'd been dating for over 10 years.
But knowledge of that relationship didn't stay hidden for long. In late 2008, Cheryl learned about the other woman and tried to cut ties with Ellis.
They had a child, they were gonna do co-parenting, but other than that, she tried over and over again to beg him that this relationship was over.
But Bryn Ellis had trouble letting go.
She wanted to move on, but Mr. Ellis, he felt like she was his possession, and he wanted to keep her as his possession.
There was a history of Ellis stalking Cheryl. Ellis would follow her in her vehicle.
He follows me to work, he follows me home.
One night she drove over to Barry's house and realized Ellis was following her, so she drove back home. And when she got there, they had a huge argument.
Stop following me. Don't worry about where I'm going. We're over, Bryn.
We're not over till I say we're over.
Cheryl tried to defuse the situation to get away from him.
What are you gonna do, Bryn? It is over.
Or what I'm gonna do?
Bryn threatened to kill her, kill himself as well. He threatened to do bodily harm to Barry.
Why didn't you call the police?
Yeah. I mean, we have a daughter together. I thought that Bryn would give up and move on. Move on like I did.
But despite Bryn's live-in girlfriend of 14 years, the stalking continued and even spread to Barry.
There was an incident that occurred where Ellis allegedly followed him to a service station, and there was an eye-to-eye confrontation between the two of them.
Barry was beginning to get concerned about this. Every time he looked up, this guy is standing somewhere looking.
In the weeks before Barry's murder, the stalking escalated considerably.
He had told me, a dude, he always said, "Oh boy." He never called his name. He would say, "Oh boy." And then old boy came by my house again.
Stay away from my girl. Get your hands off me, man.
Last time he came by, he told me old boy had pulled a gun on him.
Do you want some of this? Nah, man. Come on, man. You better stay away, because you can get it. All right. Both can get it.
That's when I think he started to take this real seriously. I don't think he took it seriously at first.
But Barry still refused to report it to police.
I think he maybe thought about not reporting it to police. The situation hopefully might go away.
So that's when me and Barry started to meet at hotels because Bryn, he was stalking us.
So when's the last time you saw your ex?
Yesterday.
Cheryl says that as she was preparing to meet Barry at the motel, Ellis called.
He was trying to hide his van. His van was about to be repossessed. And he had actually asked Cheryl if he could leave his van at her house.
Cheryl agreed to let him do that. So he parked the van at her place, and then she drove Ellis back home.
So you think maybe he followed you when you met Barry at the motel?
Anything is possible with Bryn.
Suddenly, detectives have a new prime suspect, a man with motive, means, and opportunity.
Bryn Ellis owned a gun. He was extremely jealous towards Cheryl, and he threatened both Cheryl and Barry before. He could have very well followed her to the motel and saw that she was with Barry and reacted with violence.
It's high time for police to have a chat with Bryn Ellis. But when they bring him in for questioning on March 10th, he's not in a talkative mood.
He was advised of his Miranda rights. He clearly stated to detectives that he wished not to provide a statement.
Clearly, that's his constitutional right not to talk to the police, but he looks awfully suspicious because he does not want to answer any of the questions at all.
Detectives believe they have a killer in their sights, but they still don't have evidence tying him to the crime.
They need something that will put him there, at the apartment complex, the night that Barry was killed.
Soon, a witness will come forward with a startling admission about the night of the murder.
He swore he was at home, but his cell phone said something else.
After taking a hard look at the two women Barry Odom was dating at the time of his death, investigators now believe Cheryl Gardner's ex-boyfriend, Bryn Ellis, is the person who shot Barry in a fit of jealous rage. Although police have Bryn in custody, they don't have enough evidence to charge him with Barry's murder. All they have so far is circumstantial evidence that Ellis had previously threatened Barry with a gun.
They still need to find some physical evidence that will tie Bryn Ellis to the shooting or to the crime scene.
Detectives get a warrant to search the home Ellis shared with his girlfriend, Katie Johnson. Inside, they find 3 different weapons and numerous rounds of ammunition.
There was a mountain of evidence recovered when investigators searched Ellis's residence. There were weapons that were recovered. There was also a stolen SKS assault rifle that Ellis was in possession of at this particular time as well.
The weapons and ammo are sent to the Mississippi State Crime Lab to be compared with the 2 spent bullets recovered from Barry Odom's body.
The ballistics examiner was able to determine pretty easily that neither the shotgun nor the assault rifle were the weapon that was used to fire those bullets. They could not have been the murder weapon.
But the ammunition for the 9mm is tantalizingly similar to the fatal bullets.
The Smith & Wesson that he owned fit the characteristics of that gun. The projectiles that were found in Mr. Odom's body matched the type of ammunition that was recovered.
However, there were no discernible markings on the projectiles that could prove they were fired from Bryn's gun.
Investigators were not able to link these weapons to this particular crime.
Still, investigators feel the net is closing in on Ellis. And then, a woman comes forward with a shocking revelation.
Jennifer Randall was a former girlfriend of Bryn Ellis. She heard about the shooting on the news and came forward, saying she had seen Bryn on the night of the murder.
And what time was that?
10:15, 10:30. He came to my mother's house.
Jennifer describes Ellis as extremely jittery.
He had told her that he had had a bad night, and she asked, what was he talking about? And he told her that he had gotten into a confrontation with someone.
He said he had gotten jumped by a dude at this apartments. He said that he shot him a couple times in self-defense in the chest.
Ellis described the incident to her in great detail. He said that he was at the man's apartment. He described where they were. He said that after he shot the man, he fell to the ground. And he did not know if he was alive or dead. He simply just fled the scene.
Did he give you a name of this guy?
No. No name, nothing.
He didn't use Barry Odom's name, but he didn't have to. It was clear to detectives, just based on the circumstances, that that's who the victim was.
With Jennifer Randall's statement, police now have enough evidence to charge Bryn Ellis with murder. The news allows Barry's friends and family to finally exhale.
It was a relief that the police was able to find out who done it.
But there's still work to be done. Prosecutors know the case against Bryn Ellis is far from airtight.
This was a circumstantial evidence case and not a direct evidence case.
The trial of Bryn Ellis begins on October 2nd, 2013 in a Hinds County courtroom. Prosecutors begin by painting a portrait of a man who was unable to accept rejection.
Our theory of the case, based on the witnesses and based on the evidence, is that Bryn Ellis was absolutely obsessed and very angry when Cheryl ended the relationship in 2008.
He did not want his former girlfriend to move on in life. She's his possession. Nobody else can have her.
Cheryl Gardner tried to end the relationship, tried to get away from him, but the problem was they had a daughter together, and Bryn Ellis used that as a way to keep her in his life. It was the ball and chain that prevented her from escaping from him.
When Cheryl began dating Barry Odom, Bryn Ellis's possessiveness morphed into a jealous rage.
He was this jealous guy, who didn't want her to be with this other man, even though he had a girlfriend of his own that he had lived with for at least a decade.
You have Ellis that was staying with another lady together. She had no knowledge of Cheryl. She didn't even know that Ellis and Cheryl shared a child together.
The prosecution argues that in the weeks before Barry's murder, Ellis's obsessive behavior escalated.
Once he made it clear that he was not going to leave her alone, he started to follow her. Everywhere she looked, everywhere she stopped, Mr. Ellis was there.
Cheryl was afraid of the threats that Ellis had made, and Barry believed that Ellis wanted to do bodily harm to him.
Mr. Odom felt threatened, and he decided to discuss it with his sister. She ended up giving him a gun to protect himself.
Barry's sister did say he asked her about her gun. And when I heard that, I'm like, yeah, this is real serious. I'm like, this is real serious now. Barry's asking about a gun. I'm like, this is real serious.
The state claims it all came to a head on the night of March 8, 2010, when Bryn Ellis suspected Cheryl and Barry were going to meet.
Cheryl and Barry had arranged to meet at the motel because they were afraid of Bryn Ellis.
Prosecutors say Bryn set his plan in motion by asking Cheryl for a favor. To keep the peace, Cheryl agreed. The state believes after dropping his van off at Cheryl's house, Bryn used his live-in girlfriend's car to inconspicuously stalk Cheryl and Barry.
After Cheryl gave Bryn a ride back to his place, he must have followed her to the motel where he saw her meet Barry in the parking lot.
He probably was furious after seeing them. He followed Mr. Odom to the apartment complex. I think he probably confronted him outside there. And unfortunately, Mr. Odom didn't have any protection.
Didn't I tell you to leave her alone? What you talking about, man? Didn't I tell you to stop saying her? She's mine.
Jennifer stated that Ellis had indeed confessed to her that he had shot an individual at an apartment complex that he stated tried to jump on him. There was no physical evidence to show that Barry attempted to jump Ellis. Barry was not armed. There were no witnesses that reported hearing a fight, a disturbance, or anything like that prior to his death.
What you doing? She's mine!
The defense argues that there was no direct evidence that Bryn Ellis followed Cheryl and Barry to the motel, and no proof that his gun was used to kill Barry.
They say Ellis was at home at the time of the murder, and he was nowhere near the motel or Barry's apartment.
The prosecution has an ace up its sleeve: Bryn Ellis's cell phone records.
Mr. Ellis' cell phone records would put him in the vicinity of where the shooting took place.
It also showed that he had called Jennifer Randall from that same location, which corroborated her story that he had come to see her that night.
The prosecution rests its case, and now all eyes are on the defense. But instead of making the jury sit through more testimony, they decide to lean on the crutch of reasonable doubt.
The defense did not call any witnesses, not even Bryn Ellis. They didn't think that the prosecution proved that Ellis was dead and he fired the fatal shot. The defense were hopeful that the jury had some doubts in their mind.
However, it appears that any doubts the jury may have had were erased by the prosecution's case. The jury takes less than 6 hours to reach their decision: guilty.
It was just overwhelming to have justice read. We have an answer. We have a conviction.
It was a relief that, finally somebody is now being accountable for his death. It was finally able to put closure to it, and they was like, okay, we can finally move on.
On October 4th, 2013, Judge William Gowan sentences Bryn Ellis to life in prison.
I would describe Mr. Ellis as somebody who was possessive, somebody who really didn't care about others. He only cared about himself.
Regardless of the horrific act Bryn has committed, Barry's father shows compassion for the man who stole his son's life.
I'm a Christian, so I'm not a hating person or violent, but I'm happy that justice was served. I wish that another solution could have been found rather than him killing Barry.
Barry Odom is a person who got caught in a lover's triangle. He fell in love with Cheryl. But unfortunately, Mr. Ellis took all that away.
A handsome immigrant comes to America seeking a better life.
He saw the United States as a land of milk and honey.
And meets someone special with whom to share it.
She was so in love with him.
They did start a life together.
But when police respond to a dramatic car crash, the ensuing investigation will force this community to confront unsavory truths and jaw-dropping allegations.
I thought, well, if someone wants to kill him, then maybe they're after us next.
He's a liar, a real good liar.
As detectives unearth one secret after the next, they grapple with a daunting question. What lies behind the facade of the American dream? And can you lose yourself in the pursuit of happiness?
You will do whatever to make some money.
It's this dangerous underworld filled with money, drugs, and women.
I was in shock for a very long time.
Thursday, November 18th, 2010. It's just after 6:30 p.m. in East Orange, New Jersey, and the roads are filled with motorists commuting home.
It was dark and wet outside.
For 33-year-old motorist Andrew Baker, today seems like any other day. But as Andrew pulls up to a stoplight at the intersection of Central Avenue and Orden Parkway, that all changes in the blink of an eye.
A Range Rover at full speed just rams into the back of him.
Still reeling from the shock of the accident, Andrew dials 911.
I've been in an accident. Please send help right away.
First responders arrive at the scene within minutes.
So, you okay?
I'm a little dazed, but I think I'm okay.
Okay, we have an ambulance coming for you, so just sit tight for me, okay? All right.
The police see that Andrew's okay, and they go to check on the occupant of this Range Rover.
Sir! Sir, can you hear me? It's the police!
The victim is unresponsive, slumped over the steering wheel, and the doors were locked.
Hey, I'm gonna have to break the window.
So I had to shatter the window to gain the entry to be able to assess the situation and render medical assistance.
They found out that not only was he unconscious, that he was not breathing.
It is then that the officer makes a startling discovery.
There was a puncture wound in the chest. It's unknown what caused the wound. It could have been a gunshot wound.
As they wait for EMS to arrive, the second officer checks the vehicle for identification and finds the man's driver's license. The victim is 39-year-old Floyd McLean.
But as Floyd is raced to the hospital, investigators will soon discover their suspicions are true. This is no ordinary car crash. Hiding amidst the wreckage is the story of a life led astray by temptation and all the dangers that come with it.
That information was pretty surprising for the investigators. I think everyone was in shock. It was so unexpected.
Originally from Georgetown, Guyana, Floyd McLean immigrated to the United States at a young age with his mother and siblings.
They saw the United States as a country where they could make a much better life for themselves.
Floyd and his family ultimately settled in the Newark, New Jersey area, where Floyd attended Irvington High School.
While at high school, Floyd was an extrovert, very social. He always found himself to be the center of attention.
When he was around, you would always have a good time.
It came as no surprise to his family and friends that Floyd aspired to one day be a salesman.
His ultimate dream was not just to sell, but to open a store. He had all the attributes of a salesman. He knew how to engage any individual and keep them interested in him.
Floyd's innate charm and larger-than-life personality was a big hit with the ladies, and he never suffered from a shortage of dates.
However, by his mid-20s, there was someone Floyd just couldn't seem to win over. Annette Williams, a young woman from Jamaica who lived down the street.
He always tried to watch for me. He would never leave me alone, no matter how hard I tried.
Floyd was intrigued by Annette. He kept asking her out, and she kept turning him down.
But one night in 1994, Floyd's persistence paid off.
I went to a little party, and he was there. And he still wouldn't leave me alone until, we started talking.
About time we get to know one another.
I don't know. We'll see.
You like that.
That night, Annette realized she had more in common with Floyd than she originally thought.
He had come to this country from Guyana. Annette had come to this country from Jamaica. So they both shared some similar ideals, both seeking to make a better life for themselves in a new land.
Once the spark between Annette and Floyd finally ignited, it soon kindled a fire of another sort.
We were loving and stuff like that a lot. He wouldn't probably let me breathe, you know. I think he was always over me.
After several years together, the young couple learned they were expecting a son.
Shortly after finding out that she was pregnant, Floyd made a decision that Annette was going to be the woman for him, forever.
In 1996, Annette gave birth to their beloved son, Floyd Jr.
When little Floyd was born, he gave me a ring.
For Annette and Floyd, this ring symbolized a commitment to one another as powerful as the bonds of a sanctified marriage. And in the years that followed, their family grew.
I was their first kid together. And then after that, it was my little brother and little sister.
He was a very loving father. He loved his kids. He would play with them. He would joke around with them.
He would go to the park with us and play on the swings with us. Like, instead of pushing us, he'd be like, okay, you're fine. I'm gonna get on the swing now.
Determined to provide a good life for his family, in 2003, Floyd fulfilled a lifelong dream when he opened up his own shoe store.
You like those?
I do, yeah.
He always wanted to open a store. He always wanted to do his own business.
He became that entrepreneur he wanted to be.
The store made him happy because he was a people person. He liked to meet people. He liked to talk to people. His friends used to go and visit him. They would play music.
May I help you with those?
Yes, please.
Very nice. They look good on ya.
Thank you.
The store grew and grew and grew, but you know, it took away from some of the quality time that he was going to be able to spend with his family.
After a while, it was becoming very stressful for him. It was really hard to find help to do it and do it as passionately as he would.
And at some point, the cost of doing business started to outweigh the profitability.
In April of 2010, after 7 years in business, Floyd made the decision to close his store. He subsequently took a job at a local flour mill to help supplement the family's income.
Annette and Floyd decided to make the best of it. It meant that we get more time to spend with the family.
He was home and he was trying to be there with us. We'll do things together, even just to sit on the step together.
But their familial bliss would be short-lived as Floyd found himself in the fight of his life on November 18th, 2010.
After Floyd's car accident, he was rushed to the hospital. EMTs and doctors did everything in their power to try to save him, but it was too late.
Floyd McLean was pronounced dead at University Hospital.
And though doctors still don't know the exact cause of Floyd's death, they do feel certain of one thing. Floyd didn't die from injuries sustained in his car crash.
It was clear to them that there was a mortal wound that was inflicted, and it was not inflicted as a result of this car accident.
They believed that it may have been a gunshot wound.
Suddenly, police realized that they have a homicide on their hands.
After sharing 16 years and raising 3 children, longtime partners Floyd McLean and Annette Williams were looking forward to slowing down and growing old together.
We always say to each other, we have all the kids, we had no time for each other and stuff. Now we coming in our 40s, that's when we really gonna go out and enjoy ourselves.
However, their future plans were cut tragically short when 39-year-old Floyd was rushed to the hospital following a car accident.
It was there that he was pronounced deceased.
Doctors examined the suspicious puncture in Floyd's chest that officers initially discovered at the scene. They believed it was a gunshot wound, and so from there, an autopsy was ordered.
They were dealing not only with a homicide, but a homicide seemingly caused by gunfire.
Back at the crime scene, homicide detectives begin the search for clues.
They go out and start with the scene. The scene tells you what happened.
At the scene, we recovered an additional New Jersey license plate in the middle of the street.
Their first thought was maybe that license plate belonged to a car of someone else who was involved.
They took that license plate, ran that plate, thinking that this plate had some tie to not only the accident, but potentially to the homicide.
With the license plate logged as evidence, detectives begin processing the victim's vehicle.
There were no bullet holes in the window, in the windshield, or anywhere in the car. So they determined that it could have been possibly the crime scene was somewhere else.
No one else was in the car with him, or else the doors would not have been locked. Because if someone was in a car with him and was fleeing the scene, I don't think they would have thought enough to lock the car doors before they fled.
They'd search that car for any ballistic evidence or any other weapons or drugs, anything that may help determine what's the story here, what happened.
In the back of the vehicle, there are some sneakers. New sneakers, 3 or 4 pairs of sneakers.
These sneakers, they're brand new, high-end, they're expensive. They're the type of shoes that somebody might think is worth stealing.
And shoes aren't the only item of value.
Floyd had this nice car.
He's driving not just any car, but a Range Rover, a new one.
A potential motive could have been robbery or even a carjacking.
While detectives ponder a motive, the location of Floyd's car crash only amplifies the tragedy of his death.
When you look at the crime scene, you see that where Floyd eventually crashed his vehicle, right behind the car was East Orange General Hospital.
He must have been shot in another location and he was driving himself to the hospital.
But from where had Floyd come? As police continue to process the scene, detectives begin the task of tracking down the victim's next of kin in the hopes they might know more.
We ran the registration of the vehicle that the victim was in and came back to Annette Williams.
Hi, sir. McLean residence?
Yes.
Is your mother around?
Yes.
Mom?
Who is it?
2 detectives?
Yes.
Can we come in and speak with you for a second?
Yes.
We then asked her if she, in fact, did have a vehicle registered to her. She said it was hers, and her boyfriend drives the vehicle.
They came into our living room, and I remember them saying that my father got into a car accident. And I was like, oh no, I wonder what's gonna happen to him. I hope he's okay.
There's no easy way to tell you this. Floyd passed away.
I was so confused and I didn't know what to do.
The fact that that happened to him really hurt people. It hurt me. It hurt everyone.
However, Annette manages to keep her composure in front of investigators, arousing suspicion.
She did not show him much grief at all.
Her reactions may not have been what someone might think a normal reaction is when you tell someone your loved one has just been killed.
Could Annette know more than she's letting on?
Police aren't sure whether Annette is just in shock or if she has something to hide.
It's pretty common to look at the significant other. It could be a domestic incident.
The police might be looking in the face of the killer.
Detectives ask Annette to accompany them for further questioning.
They took me to the police station. They do fingerprint everything.
Mrs. Williams, we'd like to thank you for coming in to speak with us.
When we first spoke with Annette, we wanted to try to obtain as much information about the victim as possible. We knew he was a business owner, so whether or not he had a business partner he may have had a falling out with. Did he have any arguments with anyone recently?
Do you know of anyone who would have been angry with Floyd?
I don't know. Everyone loved Floyd.
She didn't have much information to provide us regarding those issues.
They asked her what he had been doing that evening, where he'd been, where he was going, what his plans were, and she said she didn't really know. He had just told her he was going out.
According to Annette, Floyd left their house around 6 p.m.
They keep going back and forth, and I was just sitting there. And they keep the same question they asked me that I remember. They come back again and ask me the same question more than once, over and over again. I didn't want it to be there. I wanted to go home, you know, to try to get myself together.
You're telling me you don't know where he was going?
No, I don't know where he was going.
Well, I'm sorry, but I find that hard to believe.
Please, I'm telling you the truth. I don't know where he was going. He wouldn't tell me.
Are you sure about that?
I'm telling you the truth.
That's when I broke down.
Miss Williams.
It was too much for me. They were like pushing me because they want to get answer, but I wasn't a criminal.
You okay, Miss Williams?
Yes.
That night, detectives allow Annette to return home. But is Annette's account the truth? Or is her reaction a well-timed, dramatic turn?
Little did I know that there was something else going on.
Cell phone records paint us a beautiful picture of the person's activity leading up to the murder.
After notifying Annette Williams that her partner of over 16 years, 39-year-old Floyd McLean, had been murdered, detectives were alarmed by Annette's stoic reaction to the news of his death.
Miss Williams didn't show a lot of grief. Detective Foti was suspicious of whether or not she was involved.
But while there's no evidence to connect Annette to Floyd's death, investigators are determined to leave no stone unturned.
Investigators are looking for leads, and they turn their attention to Floyd's cell phone, which was recovered from his vehicle.
We do what's called a CDW on a search warrant, and that gives us a list of calls and text messages. So we're able to get a little more information of where he was and who he was speaking to prior to this incident.
They found 2 numbers in the last hour before he was killed. In particular, one of the calls came in 10 minutes before the crash.
One number belonged to a Larry Holmes, and another number belonged to a Jane Compton.
At 2 a.m., detectives arrive at the residence of Larry Holmes.
Morning, sir.
How can I help?
You Mr. Holmes?
Yes,
Larry Holmes?
that's me.
Are you familiar with a Floyd McLean?
He's my friend.
Sorry to inform you, sir, he passed away a few hours ago. Car accident.
He was upset upon hearing that his friend had been killed. Honestly, he seemed more upset than Miss Williams did initially.
Larry immediately agreed to accompany the police down to the station. He sat down for an interview.
Mr. Holmes, I want to thank you for coming in to talk with us. Can you tell us the last time you saw Floyd?
He came to see me earlier today.
Okay, and what exactly was the nature of the visit?
It was just a friendly visit.
He got a little vague, and police got the sense that he was hiding something.
His unwillingness to reveal all that had taken place between he and Floyd was puzzling to the police.
You know what? How about I just take your butt right after and fingerprint you right now? Charge you with murder.
No.
'Cause I ain't got time for this right now.
Look.
Finally, Larry comes clean and reveals the real reason they decided to meet on the night of November 18th.
He was candid and admitted that, hey, I met with Floyd, and the purpose was he came to sell me weed.
Larry told police that Floyd had shown up to his house at around 6:18 p.m., and the drug transaction lasted between 5 and 10 minutes.
What's up, my dude? What's going on? Bless.
Upon discovering that Floyd McLean was going to sell drugs to Larry, it kind of changes the focus of a homicide investigation when now you're introducing another potential motive or aspect that we need to follow up.
Although Larry claimed that their meetup ended just minutes after Floyd called him, detectives remind him that he called Floyd again at 6:26 p.m., just 10 minutes before the car accident.
The last incoming call to our victim happened to be a butt dial, an accidental dial. Based on the length of the conversation, we believed it to be true.
Although detectives are able to corroborate Larry's version of events, the question remains, where had Floyd gone after their meeting?
Larry also told police that when Floyd left, he had been on his way to sell someone a pair of shoes, but he didn't specify who or where or provide any other information.
When my dad closed his store, he had a lot of extra things that went down to our basement. So because people knew that he had sold shoes, they would always ask him, hey, do you have this and that? So he kept selling things.
It opened up the possibility that, hey, this could be a number of people.
Being he was selling high-end sneakers or dealing in marijuana, you just don't know what you're dealing with. So it was open to anything at that point.
Detectives think back to the evidence collected at the scene and recall the random license plate found. Could it be a clue?
It can at times be violent. Drug dealers do succumb to being attacked, rather it be from the people that they're selling drugs to, other drug dealers, or somebody just figuring that they have either illegal drugs or money.
This plate could belong to the killer. So yes, they took all the tools, all the investigative tools that they had with respect to running down plates.
We spent about a couple hours locating that vehicle, locating the owner of the vehicle.
They go to that person's home thinking that now they finally have a person of interest in the case who they can talk to.
This individual's really baffled as to why the police are at his door making inquiry about his license plate.
When they talked to this person, they figured out that the license plate, by some coincidence, had fallen off earlier in the day and that the person wasn't involved at all.
This particular plate meant nothing with respect to the accident or the death. It was just one of those freak occurrences that happens in the course of our everyday lives.
With that lead dead, detectives dig back into Floyd's cell phone records.
We had narrowed our timeline to 15, 20 minutes when Floyd could have been killed.
The second to last call was from a female named Jane.
She was vital for us to talk to because she was speaking to this guy on the telephone just 10 or 15 minutes prior to dying.
When they called that number, nobody answered. So ultimately, they looked up the information associated with that number and they found she lived in East Orange on Webster Place.
The next morning, detectives drive to Jane Compton's apartment in hopes they'll find her there.
We knocked on the door, no one's home. We did a canvass of the building to try to see if there was any witnesses.
They found the building superintendent and they asked him if he had seen anything out of the ordinary, and he said no.
But the super says he did find something unexpected on the ground outside the apartment complex.
Superintendent said, hey, while I was cleaning up, I found a sneaker box just thrown on the ground.
Brand new pair of Nike shoes?
Yeah, I put them down in the trash. I can take you where they are if you want.
Superintendent accompanied the police to that particular trash can, and lo and behold, that sneaker and that box were still there.
They were new Nike sneakers that were similar to the sneakers that were found in our victim, Floyd McLean's car.
While detectives believe the sneakers and phone records allude to Floyd being at the complex, they need hard evidence to prove it.
We've noticed city cameras. So what my idea is to let's follow these city cameras and see if we could capture Mr. McLean's car leaving this scene and getting from this point to where he crashed.
We had 3 different cameras that caught him at different locations in East Orange.
And sure enough, detectives are able to trace Floyd's vehicle from the scene of the accident back to Jane Compton's apartment complex.
It confirmed the story that he was there at Webster Place to meet with Jane and deliver sneakers. It was another piece to the puzzle.
Now detectives are wondering where Jane Compton is and if she had some motive to harm Floyd McLean.
At that point, we just don't know what we have. Jane is a potential person of interest.
But before detectives can move forward with their new lead, they receive word that Floyd's autopsy is complete, and the results are not what they expect.
The results of that autopsy were mind-blowing.
Less than 12 hours after 39-year-old Floyd McLean was pronounced dead in a New Jersey hospital, detectives have retraced his fateful steps that day to an apartment complex in East Orange and to a mysterious woman named Jane Compton.
The story was that Floyd was driving to the apartment that day to sell someone's shoes. But was this really about shoes or something else entirely? And what role does Jane Compton play in all of this?
Why is this individual, who is pretty much a everyday guy working and selling clothing, why is this guy winding up dead?
One very real possibility is that Floyd's death may be drug-related, since he had allegedly sold marijuana to at least one man that night.
Anytime that you're involved in any kind of drug dealing, there's always a chance that you can wind up on the bad end of that.
Just as investigators begin to look into this potential lead further, they receive word that Floyd's autopsy is complete.
Homicide.
The medical examiner's findings were startling.
Really?
He had died not from the car accident, not from a gunshot wound, but from a stab wound to the chest, directly to the heart.
He probably lost consciousness within minutes of receiving this wound. Kind of explains the force of the accident.
For investigators, it's a potentially important clue.
I personally feel that stabbing has to be the most intimate thing that you can do to someone. Stabbing someone, you're feeling like a blade go through someone's body and having to feel Like, when you hold that blade, it's a part of you. So feeling that extension of you go through someone is very gruesome.
A gunshot wound can be taken from 100 yards away. A stab wound, it's gotta happen at arm's length. And so now we're looking to find someone that he was in some close combat with, or at least was comfortable being near.
We're wondering if this is a guy that has multiple girlfriends. We don't know where we're going right now.
Realizing there might be a hidden layer to this case, detectives return to speak with Floyd's fiancée, Annette Williams.
Listen, Annette, I appreciate you letting us come out and talk to you again. I'm just trying to put the puzzle pieces together, figure it all out.
We wanted to learn as much information as possible. We wanted to know if he had been in any arguments and how their relationship was. Was he seeing someone else on the side?
It is then that Annette finally breaks down and reveals the truth.
He wasn't the most loyal partner.
He was just such 100% cheater.
The decedent had multiple affairs with various women.
According to Annette, it all began after Floyd opened his shoe store in 2003.
Since he got this store, that's when all the problem came from. When he got this store, all the girls, because they think he got money. And they don't even know where we were coming from. That's when the problem started.
Not only was it a vehicle which provided for his family, it was also the center of where he had a lot of lady friends. Despite the fact that he was really in love with Annette, and they had 3 kids, somehow Floyd didn't put away his philandering ways, if you will. It got to the point where she couldn't even come to the store because he didn't want her at the store. Because not only was he selling and making money, he was also engaging with other women.
He would hide and do the stuff he did. It wouldn't be in my face. And then he tried to keep me away from people so I wouldn't even know what's going on. He shadowed me all through.
Now that investigators know the truth, they can't help but wonder again about the woman sitting across from them.
The police are looking at Annette, just being fed up with everything that Floyd may have put her through.
However, Annette firmly denies having any involvement with Floyd's murder.
You done something to your husband. Now's the time to let us know.
No, he was a cheater. But he was a good father, and I would never hurt our children.
She was in it for not only Floyd, but for the sake of the children, because he was a great father, very involved with his boys, interested in what they were interested in, played with them, had a marvelous relationship. So the balancing act was, okay, he steps out from time to time, but we have a good life.
He loved his kids. It doesn't matter what we have in together. He was a loving father, 100%. I have nothing to say bad about that. I always wanted to have my kids for one person. So that's one of the things, too, while I was with him for so long.
She stated, look, he has a lot of girlfriends. Some of them have boyfriends and some of them have husbands. Any one of them could have been mad at him.
It could be a jealous lover. It could be a jealous husband. It could be a scorned lover.
Going off a hunch, detectives decide to ask Annette about Jane Compton, one of the last individuals to speak to Floyd.
Does the name Jane Compton ring a bell?
Yes.
When Detective Fody initially spoke to Annette Williams, she did know that there was a relationship between Floyd and Jane.
Jane has become the biggest suspect in the case, and police wanted to talk to her immediately.
We have our ways of finding family members and friends, and so we spoke to family members, and we found that she went to Jamaica.
That immediately sent up a lot of red flags.
Here's a girl whose possible boyfriend had just been stabbed to death, and she's on a plane heading to Jamaica. Who would think that she's not involved?
As detectives work to get Jane back into the country for questioning, emotions run high. Will they be able to solve their case, or will Floyd's killer manage to escape justice?
I'm hoping that she can help us solve this man's murder.
While investigating the murder of 39-year-old Floyd McLean, detectives have discovered that Floyd's 16-year-long relationship with Annette Williams was riddled with infidelity.
He was a cheater. He liked a lot of girls.
Using cell phone records, surveillance footage, and Annette's statements, investigators learned that Floyd may have been with one of his mistresses, Jane Compton, only minutes before dying.
At the end of the day, she was with him last. She knows what happened.
But now Jane is in Jamaica, and detectives can't help but think the timing of her trip is more than a little suspicious.
Why is this girl not in the country anymore?
She's a person of interest.
How can police track down one woman on a large Caribbean island? For that, investigators turned to Jane's cell phone records.
We ended up getting her subscriber information, obtaining her address, and then getting family members' names.
Yes, I'm trying to get a hold of Jane Compton.
When investigators finally make contact, Jane explains that her trip to Jamaica had been planned for some time.
She said she was in Jamaica with her family.
I've got some questions for you about a Floyd McLean. Is there any way you can let me know the minute you get back from Jamaica to New Jersey?
She let on that she knew that Mr. McLean had died.
She agreed to make contact with the detective as soon as she came back.
On November 23rd, 5 days into the investigation, detectives finally come face to face with the elusive Jane Compton.
I didn't know what she was going to say, to be honest. I didn't know she was going to say, I killed him because he was cheating with another girl.
Can you tell us about your relationship with Floyd?
Sure. When the police first started talking to Jane, she was a little nervous and hesitant, but eventually she opened up and told them what they needed to know.
According to Jane, her relationship with Floyd began in 2005.
I met him when I was 21 years old. Me and my uncle were shopping for shoes.
Floyd. Leroy, what man, how you doing today?
We're not bad at all. Good. And who is this lovely lady you have with you?
I'm Jane. Nice to meet you.
The pleasure's all mine, Miss Jane.
Floyd and Jane began having an affair that lasted several years. At the time, Floyd was with Annette, and Jane was dating a different guy, Justin Hazel.
I remember seeing her in my father's store once or twice when I was a kid.
He was still with Annette, and I was with my boyfriend, Justin. After a few years, we just couldn't do it anymore. We didn't feel it was fair to our significant others, so we cut it off.
As for their planned rendezvous on November 18th, Jane says rekindling their romance was the last thing on either one of their minds.
They had been communicating by telephone for really the sole purpose of Floyd selling her some sneakers. She wanted some of Floyd's sneakers to take back to Jamaica to give to her uncle.
When Floyd was finally coming over to the apartment, he called her to say he was on the way. And he called when he said he was out front, so that she didn't have to wait outside.
Wagwan.
Hi.
Oh, it's been a long time, you know? You still look beautiful as always.
Whatever. I've been trying to get ready to go to Jamaica all day.
Oh, bless up. But let me show what me brought. Say I can pick one, you know? Right there.
Yeah.
You like, right?
She was sitting in the passenger seat of the car, picking out the pair of shoes that she wanted, when she saw her boyfriend, Justin Hazel, walking down the street on his way home.
Wagwan.
Yeah, that's my boyfriend, Justin.
No, everything is all right.
No, everything is not all right.
So what's going on here?
Justin, calm down, please.
He immediately became very angry when he saw the two of them in the car together.
He approached her on the passenger side. He had a confrontation with her.
I'm just trying to buy some shoes.
You about no shoes? What's up? You gonna lie to me now?
I'm not lying to you. I would not lie to you. I'm just telling.
He ended up kicking her in the stomach and kicking her down to the ground.
Floyd never got out of the car. He stayed in the driver's seat and wasn't looking for any problems.
According to Jane, though, Justin had other ideas.
Justin leaves Jane and goes around the vehicle to the driver's side.
Relax now, What's brother. up, man? I'm not here for trouble, no, man. What you mean no trouble, man? You with my girl? No, man, I can't buy shoes, man. What you mean you buying some shoes?
Jane observes hands going back and forth.
He just started punching him, and he was like screaming. It was crazy.
At that point, Justin's cousin was walking by and saw him and tried to pull Justin off of Floyd, and Floyd just drives away.
Jane says after Floyd fled the scene, her argument with Justin continued.
Let's go. Let's go.
They continue to argue as they go up into the apartment building. Jane still has these sneakers. Justin takes this box, he throws them outside.
She states to us that she sees what appears to be either a knife or some shiny object protruding from his hand.
For investigators, that stunning detail can only lead to one conclusion.
This wasn't a punch. This was him reaching through the door and stabbing him right in the heart.
Justin just left the apartment, so she just set off to continue to pack and go on her trip, not knowing at that time that Mr. McLean had been stabbed and was dying or dead. She just thought it was a fight, but he didn't kill him.
According to Jane, she didn't learn of Floyd's death until she landed in Jamaica. But is she telling the truth?
She didn't really waver. She wasn't overly emotional. She just basically laid it out as it happened. 100% I believed her.
But if Justin Hazel is responsible for Floyd McLean's death, why had he lashed out so angrily on that fateful day?
The way Jane explains it to us is that they were friends, but Justin was a jealous boyfriend, and he didn't see them as friends.
Justin knew about this relationship the two of them had in the past, but apparently she had told Justin that there was no more relationship between the two of them. But when she's sitting in the car and she sees Justin, he immediately became very angry. Detectives realized, hey, this is our guy. Justin Hazel killed him.
So our thing is, hey, we got him. We got him.
But as police swarmed the streets in search of Justin Hazel, will his girlfriend's testimony really be enough to convict him?
We only had one witness, which is Jane. And witnesses, sometimes they change their story, they disappear.
Nearly 1 week into the murder investigation of 39-year-old Floyd McLean, New Jersey detectives have learned that his former mistress, Jane Compton, witnessed her boyfriend, 25-year-old Justin Hazel, accost Floyd in a jealous rage.
Once the police had Jane's story, they felt confident that they knew who their suspect was, that all the pieces fit together, and that they were looking for Justin Hazel.
While police search the streets for Justin, investigators attempt to locate the murder weapon.
The police have a search warrant for Justin's apartment, and they go and collect all the knives that he has to see if one of them would be a match for the murder weapon.
Unfortunately, the knives that were in the apartment were your everyday steak knives, and none of those knives came back with any type of evidence on them.
Despite being unable to find the knife used to kill Floyd, the DA feels confident there is enough to prosecute.
They had all of this information from the cell phone records and the traffic cameras that really added up to a solid case for them.
They immediately went to a judge and they got an arrest warrant issued for Justin Hazel. They had been to his apartment looking for him. Apparently word had gotten to him that detectives already had a warrant, so he turned himself in on December 7th.
I was very relieved that it happened, because if this man was out, then he could have hurt us too.
While prosecutors give Justin the option of pleading to lesser charges, he refuses the deal.
He made the decision that he was going to go forward with the trial.
In accordance with Justin's wishes, the case goes to court on September 11th, 2012. As opening arguments get underway, the narrative prosecutors weave is one of a man who formed the purposeful intent to kill Floyd McLean on that fateful November evening in 2010.
He took a knife and plunged it into the heart of another man.
But what's noticeably missing from this recitation of facts is any mention of Floyd and Jane's previous relationship. For prosecutors, it's intentional.
Justin Hazel was charged with murder, but there are lesser included offenses that can be put to the jury: aggravated manslaughter, reckless manslaughter, and of course this passion provocation. In other words, that's an intentional killing of somebody, but somewhat excused. You know, the classic example is a man comes home from work and finds his wife in bed with another man, and he loses it.
If you start to engage all of the passions, it could drop the culpability of the individual who's ultimately found guilty down to manslaughter.
In New Jersey, a murder conviction will get you 30 years to life. Under passion provocation, that number gets reduced to anywhere between 5 years and 10 years.
The prosecutor just decided to stay away from all the lover stuff, trying to stay away from all aspects of the case that dealt with passion and emotions, because he wanted to present a case of a clear thinker, meaning Justin as the clear thinker, Justin as engaged in a premeditated act. Premeditation can happen within seconds.
As prosecutors cede the floor to Justin's defense team, they expect his defense to bring up Floyd's past relationship with Jane as a rationale for his actions that day. However, in a surprise move, they don't mention it either.
My client's instructions to me was that he was not responsible for the death of the victim. He requested that the court not charge the lesser included offenses.
Justin's decision. Over the objection of his own attorney, he wanted all or nothing.
The defense's argument was that the altercation between Floyd and Justin was just a fist fight, and that after he drove off, that Floyd went on to do another drug deal, and that's where he was stabbed.
And they didn't want to bring in a motive that Justin knew about this prior relationship between Jane and Floyd.
It was a defense's theory that there was sufficient passage of time from the time that the decedent left the block in dealing with Justin that he could have stopped someplace else along the line, tried either to make another deal, or perhaps he was being ripped off by somebody and that resulted in his death and the stabbing, not the actions of my client.
But it still remains to be seen how Justin's defense team intends to support this allegation in light of the previous statement of his girlfriend, Jane Compton. On September 12th, prosecutors called their star witness to the stand to testify.
Jane had a surprise for the prosecutor when she took the stand. Her testimony changed.
What she did was, we called it, she took a dive. She stated that this information she gave in the beginning was a lie, and that she never said he had a knife or a pointy object in his hand.
It was horrible. She don't have a heart.
She goes on to explain the usual. The police, they coerced me. They threatened to take my 6-year-old child.
She probably started having second thoughts and feeling bad and didn't want to see her baby's father go away for that amount of time. It's not uncommon for witnesses to have second thoughts, especially if you think you love that person that you're now sending away to jail and you're the only witness that's doing it.
This was extremely stressful for Floyd's family because Jane's new testimony could ruin their chances of getting justice for their loved one.
It's a gut-wrenching turn of events, but maybe not all is lost.
Jane Compton's original statement to police had been recorded, and prosecutors had that evidence in their possession.
I played the video statement to the jury where they saw her entire first statement. They could tell that she was not being coerced. There were no signs of her being under duress.
Despite Jane's attempt to throw the case, the prosecution argues the evidence against Justin is overwhelming.
The phones set up a very tight timeline, and the surveillance video captures Floyd's Range Rover as he was trying to drive himself to the hospital. There was no time for him to go anywhere else and even meet with anyone else, much less get in an argument that led to him being stabbed somewhere else.
What we found at that scene and what we found off those cameras and what telephone records just don't lie.
What Justin Hazel did that day showed that he is a violent individual. He felt disrespected just by the fact that his girlfriend was in a car with another man, and he acted on it quickly and violently. His temperament shows that he is a murderer.
On September 14th, the jury returns with a verdict.
Everyone got up and was saying guilty of everything. Second one, third one, fourth one.
I was very happy when the words guilty were said because that's what he was. And that's what needed to happen.
Justin Hazel didn't have a criminal record. And that's one of the major things that a judge will weigh, a defendant's prior record. And so we gave him the low end of the sentencing range.
Justin Hazel was sentenced to 35 years in prison.
It's just a satisfaction that I cannot explain, to put away someone who took an innocent person's life for no reason other than an innocent exchange of a pair of sneakers.
It wasn't even that Floyd was in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was really the case of someone, in this case, Justin Hazel, who just lost his temper. It was a complete misunderstanding, and it could have definitely been avoided.
But in love, as in life, every decision we make has consequences. And for those that most acutely feel the void of Floyd McLean's death, not a day goes by that they don't think of him.
Multiple lives that have been forever affected. It's on multiple levels that you can never replace.
Sometimes the only thing worse than thinking about how much pain he went through is how much pain my mother still goes through thinking about that. She was so in love with him, and she still is, which really hurts.
We were together young, so he was like, even though he do whatever he's doing, he's like my friend, my everything. The loss of him, I think my whole life was gone.
Sometimes when I look at the stairs, I think of him going up them, When I look at the backyard, I think of like the water gun fights we used to have or the snowball fights I used to have with my dad. It's crazy to think that he's not there anymore.